Welcome to episode 344 of School Librarians United. I'm your host, Amy Herman. This podcast is dedicated to the issues and challenges school librarians face every day. As a school librarian in my 19th year, I knew I wanted a podcast which addressed the nuts and bolts of running a successful library program. I don't claim to have the answers, but I hope that this is a platform to share resources and exchange ideas. Now is a perfect time to mention that all the ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast by myself, my interview guests, and listeners who reach out to the podcast are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. When incorporating research, I always make sure to cite my sources. So whether you are a novice or a veteran school librarian, this podcast does something for you. I welcome you and all listeners to reach out with your feedback and episode suggestions. You can reach me on Facebook, on X, formerly known as Twitter. My handle is @LMS_United. On Threads and Instagram, you can find me at School Librarians United and on Blue Sky at SLU Podcast or the email address schoollibrariansunited@gmail.com. If you include your mailing address, I'll be sure to send you a podcast sticker. I have just spent the past 2 glorious days surrounded by the incredibly hospitable Virginia school librarians. Their annual conference was held in Colonial Williamsburg, and I was treated to a wonderful stay. Thank you for your gracious conference planning committee and leadership for including me in this celebration. I had the opportunity to present a concurrent session as well as the closing keynote. This episode was edited and assembled in my hotel room and at 30,000 feet as I flew home to Detroit. And now for today's episode, VAASL25, and my conversation with the school librarians attending Virginia Association of School Librarians annual conference in Williamsburg, Virginia.
My name is Rebecca Sharpley. I work at Louisa County Middle School in Louisa, Virginia. Our middle school has just over 1,300 students.
Wow. That is a big school.
It is a big county school. We've grown quite a bit in the last couple of years.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, and what is it you want to share with listeners today?
I'd like to share our best strategy for working with our teachers and collaborating with our teachers is to be flexible and to listen. In order to get our teachers to work with us, we have had to go out and really listen to what they needed help with, what content areas, and to be really flexible. We started out with ideas of our own, and we've taken those out to them, but that was based on what we thought they needed, and we really had to listen to what they actually needed.
I mean, I love these suggestions because you're absolutely right. We're always in that fix-it mode, and we want to make sure that we get our teachers what they need. But it turns out that if we just make their job a little bit easier, all of a sudden we're like instant hero status.
Yes, really appreciate it.
Let me ask you, Rebecca, you're here at this conference. What is something you're really excited to do?
I was really excited to go to these sessions involving primary source materials and working with archivists and museums and collaborating with them. We found that with middle schoolers, it's really hard to get them excited about research. So working with primary sources and museums, I think, is a good way to sort of get them more invested in history and research.
Well, and having Williamsburg in your backyard, it's got to help, I imagine.
I think so, yes.
I hope you have a great conference. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Merritt. I'm an elementary librarian, library media specialist in Amherst County, Virginia. And my first year librarian tip would be not to take on too many things at once, to take it slow, don't try to conquer the world, and be flexible and focus on building relationships with students.
Yeah, I can agree. Looking back on my first year, I've started over several times, and it's probably best to keep your expectations low and celebrate wins because you don't know what those look like till they happen.
Right, exactly.
You're like, oh, I did something good.
Yes, yes.
Well, and I think what's always hard is that when you're new in a building, you can have other new teachers, but because they're new classroom teachers and you're the new librarian, your problems are not the same.
Exactly. Exactly.
Asking for help. Let me ask you, in your district, do you have some sort of mentorship when you bring in somebody new?
Yes, I'm one of the mentors, so it's challenging because I'm also a mentor and I mentor another resource teacher and classroom teacher. So I have to put my classroom teacher brain hat back on and help out. So we have a strong mentoring program, but it pulls me in a lot of directions. So it is something that I'm passionate about, but it takes away from what my role is as a library media specialist.
I think a lot of people are nodding their heads because there's a lot of things. A lot of times I talk to people and they're like, well, I'm a librarian, but I also do these 12 things.
Yes.
Yes. As somebody who just recently took on the online coordinator position, I never thought I'd sign up for that. But you know what? Anytime we are front-facing in front of our teachers and, more importantly, our administration, I think we're just sort of securing that lockhold on our job.
Yes.
And removing any element of, hey, maybe as a budget cut, we should look at the Learning Commons. We should look at the library.
Right.
Oh, I love that. Listen, Mary, you're here at this conference. What was something you're really excited to attend?
Just getting a chance to collaborate, get ideas. I just had a session with classroom strategies and things that I can implement right away, and from a library supervisor who goes and observes other librarians. So I learned a lot from her. I'm also excited to connect with someone close to home, going to her session next.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to keep you. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you. My name is Mary Arrington. I work in Virginia Beach at an alternative school. So life is a little different.
Wow. So you've got kids who are still high school.
Middle and high.
Okay. Wow. So you're going to have, your library is going to be really interesting. I have to ask right now, how does that factor into your collection development at all?
I have worked really hard to get more books that are reflective of my students.
Okay.
When I got there 4 years ago, the collection was not reflective of them at all. And a lot of the things were old and never checked out.
No mirrors. We needed mirrors.
Zero mirrors for the most part. Yes.
So probably a lot of realistic fiction, maybe?
A lot of realistic fiction. They love horror.
They do.
Lots of horror.
All right.
But,
that's wonderful.
You know, definitely have worked on seeing more of them and not others in the collection.
Well, I love that. So let me ask you, when you come to a conference like this, what is on your list of things that you want to make sure you see? What are the must-sees?
It's always something collection related because it's hard to keep up with everything. Mm-hmm. And servicing grades 6 through 12, you can miss things. So
let me ask you, what is something you'd like to share with listeners today?
Don't take no. Sometimes you just have to give people resources and wait for them to come to you. And it starts to work eventually, just giving it to them.
Yeah, I believe in playing the long game. Some things take a lot of time. And I'll tell you what, going into year 5 in my school, I didn't want to believe that people said, yeah, sometimes it takes a couple years for it to all kick in. It really does.
It does.
But that's all right. I'm here for the long game.
Exactly.
I love it. Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic conference. And thank you for sharing with us today.
See you. I actually listen to you, so.
Well, you know, I appreciate that. I really do.
I'm Melissa Minter. I'm at a K through 5. There is pre-K. So pre-K through 5th grade librarian. I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I have a fixed flex schedule. So I see kindergarten through 5th grade once a week, but it's not all of them. So I have like an A, B, C, D schedule where I see a little bit of them every week. And then here I presented on managing your library through centers. So I talked about different centers to have your students engaged and how I run my library checkout and all those fun things.
Oh, I saw that in the descriptions. Well, you know, you have an open invitation to recycle that presentation.
I can share the presentation.
If you email it to me, I email you back like a Google Doc.
Okay.
Of questions, and then we can talk about it, and then we're going to ask you to share the resources with our larger listening audience. Do you mind?
I would be happy to do that.
Awesome. So let me ask you, now that your work is done and you can finally relax, what is something you're excited to do? Because I'll tell you, this conference, there's so much going on.
It's amazing. So I try to go to anything that will support what I'm doing in my library. So even I just went to something about Minecraft because we have Minecraft and the students love it. So if anything to get new ideas, I'm going to some to promote the library. So I like anything, monthly promotions, any sort of activities that are like passive programming, anything like that I can get going in my library.
Fantastic. Listen, I'm so glad we crossed paths, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Me too. Have a great day.
I'm April Ensley. I am the Library Media Specialist at Yorktown Elementary School in York County, Virginia. This is my 9th year in the library. I was a 5th grade teacher at the same school for 15 years prior to becoming the librarian. And my library is small, but it's a mighty place. And when I moved to the library, I did it because we had a little bit of a heart problem. If the library is the heart of our school, our heart was a little broken. And I, as a 5th grade teacher, knew that it was a little late for me to change the reading lives of my students. It was harder, and I wanted to have a global impact. So one of the first things I did when I moved to the library was I rebranded it, and I decorated my library with superheroes. And so to this day, I tell the kids that our library is decorated with superheroes because reading is our superpower. Because once you learn to read, you can go anywhere. You can do anything, you can be anybody, and you don't even have to leave the couch. You just have to open up the pages of a book. So that is kind of my thing. Of course, now all the kids think I'm obsessed with superheroes, but that's all right.
Well, but I'll tell you what, it may sound gimmicky, but we're about making sure we win allies and make sure that the kids know why we're here in the first place. And also importantly, make sure their families know and their teachers know that you are a partner in learning and teaching with the entire process of these kids growing up. And I'll tell you what, those middle school librarians are awfully glad that you're building up this reading culture again, because pretty soon those 5th graders become 6th graders. And all of a sudden, you know, that momentum, you want to keep on going. Do you ever do any of that like vertical planning where you connect with the feeder school where your students are going to go?
So this year, it's really a goal of mine. I'm connecting with the high school that's actually right across the street from my school, like because of Main Street, but I'm connecting with them to kind of bring some of their high schoolers into the library. And our mascot is the Falcon. So I have a program called Read Like a Falcon. And at the end of the year last year, I got the graduating class of York High School. I sent out a survey to all of the kids who went to Yorktown Elementary and asked them if they'd be willing to have their portrait taken in their cap and gown, holding a book that mattered to them when they were in elementary school. And we do that graduation walk where the kids come walking through the elementary school in their cap and gowns. And at the end of that walk, they came and they held a book. And so we have those portraits on canvases, and they're hanging outside of the library doors. And I made a graphic that says like Read Like a Falcon. And I even found the picture of those students from their first year at my elementary school in the yearbook. So like their kindergarten picture is there next to them in their cap and gown. And it serves as a way to let our kindergarten through 5th graders know this is where you're going. And look at like even what you're doing now is going to matter when you're at that point. And as we were getting ready for the school year, some of the kids from the high school cheerleaders came over to kind of greet us. And when they saw those canvases, they were like, oh, how do I get up there? I want to be up there. So I'm really working to collaborate with the high school because we are a Falcon family. We're a community, and I really want to connect our schools.
I love that idea. Like right now, there are a whole bunch of people going, I know what I'm doing. We're Ravens, so I can see this happening, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you. My name is Jessica Adkins. I am the librarian/media specialist at William Monroe High School in Greene County. This is my first year as a librarian in an academic setting. I have volunteered countless hours at public libraries, but it's definitely different in the school. I'm going to give advice to first-year librarians as a first-year librarian myself. Don't do everything all at once. Don't think you can genreify your whole library by yourself. Don't do it. If it's a mess, put it back to some semblance of order and leave it at that. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't take anything home if you can prevent it. Just do what you can and let it be that. I also would recommend getting an assistant if you can. Hopefully your assistant is really good and super helpful. If not, then don't get one.
Well, and I like that you said, it's a mess. I got to tell you, non-librarians don't see a mess. If you get somebody with training who walks in, they're like, oh man, this place is this is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yes.
But you get like your like Joe average teachers walking through the space. They have no idea what's going on. They look and they're just like, oh, we're here in the library. And you're like, okay.
It's funny you mentioned that because I have a bunch of teachers and admins that come through. They're like, oh, you've done such a great job with it. I'm like, have?
You're like, yes, I have.
It's like, yes, it looks better than it did, but it's not
how I would like it.
But you're probably the worst critic you're going to have, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. But you know what? Your building is so lucky to have you. And I'm so grateful. Our profession has just got somebody that I know you're going to stick it out and make sure that this is going to be an amazing year. And next year's going to get even better.
Absolutely.
And even better. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you very much, Jessica. And I know you want to go and enjoy the rest of this conference. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Hi, I'm Stephanie Oden. My library is over at Sangster Elementary School in Fairfax County. I'm on a fixed flex schedule, which is super fun. And I've got 900 students, which is a lot, but it's awesome.
Wow. So let me ask, what was your must-see when you looked at the lineup? What was something you were really excited when you're coming to the conference and you're like, I absolutely cannot miss that session?
Oh my gosh. You're not too busy to genreify. I was like, yes. Oh my gosh. Cause I'm like slowly like chunking little bits and pieces, but like my goal is to make it so that way when they say, where are the horror books? Where are the scary books? I can just point and send them right over.
Absolutely. I recommend you take a look at the elementary playlist in the show notes because there are a lot of people who we just did a horror in elementary and we've done genreifying in the elementary school. So no, that's definitely good. So let me ask you, what is something you'd like to share with listeners today?
Oh my gosh. Well, my favorite passive programming is that Stick Together mural because it's just so wonderful. They have such a great time with it. They are so enthused. And then we've been slowly decorating the library with these beautiful mosaics.
I'm going to ask you, you have timed this. How long does it take them to get one done?
Ooh, okay. So I usually start after spring break, and they're usually done like a month or so. Yeah.
Because you make sure you stagger it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate it, Stephanie. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you so much. Great to meet you.
So my name is Carl Harvey, and I am an associate professor of school librarianship at Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia. And then I'm also the current president of the Virginia Association of School Librarians. And so
I didn't even curtsy. I didn't genuflect. I didn't do anything.
All good. Yes. So the one that so I don't have a library anymore of my own, obviously, but I get to teach future school librarians, which is absolutely the best. Mm-hmm. And my advice to them is always the first thing to do is join your professional organization, whether it's your state or national or both, because that's where your people are. You know, often you're the only school librarian in your school. And so you need those people that understand your celebrations and understand your pain and that you can relate to. And that's the best part of being at a conference is the chance to network and make all those connections. So, well,
and I every once in a while I hear from, academics and professors and folks who are like, actually, we've worked a couple podcast episodes into our syllabus.
Mm-hmm. In lieu of articles.
Yes.
We use yours. And
I know this because I've met people from time to time who said, oh yeah, I had to listen to you for one of my assignments. And I'm like, well, don't make it sound like a chore, you know?
Well, and part of that is because the practitioner literature that we used to have in magazines is gone. They don't publish them anymore.
No.
So we need people who are what is happening in libraries today so that we can make those connections for students. And so this podcast is a great way to do that.
You can't beat free.
Well, that helps too. Yes. That also helps too.
When your students are complaining about how much textbooks cost, you're like, oh, but the podcast is free.
Right.
So,
exactly.
No, I love that because when you are like inspiring the next generation of school librarians, your time in the trenches, I'm sure, really did build out the kinds of programs that you want to offer to your students.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, I'm the way I teach is to tell stories, and I tell stories of my time as a school librarian. But that was also a decade ago, you know, and a lot's changed in 10 years. And while I keep up, I come to conferences, I listen to presenters, and go to sessions, you know, so. Finding those people that are doing it today are the ones that students need to hear from.
I'm so glad you're here. Hopefully you're not working the entire conference.
We'll try not to, yeah. And we're so glad you're here. So
I can't wait. Trust me, this has been on my calendar since January 8th.
That's awesome.
So I wouldn't miss it for the world. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Beth Tarana. I am a librarian in Arlington County. I'm in an elementary school. We have 420 students about, one library rabbit and one library turtle that also share our space. And I just love being in my school. It's an amazing place to work.
Okay, so listeners are going to want to know, do the rabbit and the turtle actually have a race? Do you ever get them out and put them in the wild and have them, go back, have a little race between the rabbit and the tortoise?
So not this rabbit, but our previous rabbit, we did have a day where we read that folk tale, and then we did have a race, the rabbit and the hare race. And I will tell you that the turtle won because the rabbit hopped off somewhere else.
Excellent. Well, and you know what? Having pets in the library is such for some kids, that's going to be the bigger draw than the books, like anything to get them in the door.
Yeah. And, it's a good motivator too for behavior. A lot of teachers use that as there's a reward system for some students. They get to come and take care of the rabbit. I know a student was struggling just getting to school. And so we made it his job to come in the morning and feed the rabbit. And so then all of a sudden he's coming to school on time.
It's a therapy rabbit.
Yeah.
You've got an emotional support system in your space. And, I've got my corgi.
Yeah.
She's pretty fantastic, but you've got a rabbit, and that's got to be very accessible for a lot of kids, because I know some people are a little apprehensive of dogs, and it's just, but I've never met anybody who's been afraid of a rabbit.
We have had some preschoolers who, when I'm going to take the rabbit out of the cage, they're a little apprehensive, but I just keep hold of the rabbit and I don't let them hop around when they're scared. And then they pet him, and a couple times of that, and they're fine. And he goes home over holidays and summer break with students. And so parents like that because my kid's been dying to have a pet, and it's a good temporary fix.
Wow.
Yeah.
You farm the pets. Now, does the turtle also get to go?
The turtle does not. The turtle has a beautiful 400-gallon tank in the library that he stays there.
Okay, but the rabbit does. There's a sign-up sheet.
There's a sign-up sheet on the last day of school. I drop him off at one student's house, and then everybody on the list arranges how to get him from one place to the next, and then I see him the first day of school the next year.
What?
And I wish he could write a book.
Oh my gosh!
Some adventures, I'm sure.
So this is for the entire summer vacation.
Entire summer vacation. He also goes every, if there's a 3-day weekend or anything longer than just a regular 2-day, he goes to somebody's house.
That's amazing. I think that speaks about you've got a very tolerant bunny. I know not all pets would be open to such an arrangement.
We are lucky. We've had him since he was 8 weeks old. So he's always been a library bunny, and he seems very happy being it.
What is your bunny's name?
This bunny's name is Read More Books. Our last bunny before that his name was Paige Turner. And before that, we had a rabbit named Nigel.
Because of course you did. Yes, of course you did. Yeah. I love it. So Beth, what do you want to share with us today?
So I wanted to share a strategy that motivates students to check out books. So I always devote a part of library time to students doing book talks. I could do as many book talks, until I'm blue in the face, but it's really powerful when they book talk to each other. And so right before checkout, I'll give a few minutes. And usually, there's some classes that want to go the whole time with book talks. Some classes just love it. And then after we check out, I sometimes ask, did anybody check out a book that was book talk today? And if they do, I make a huge deal of it. I'm like, look at that, Johnny, you're such a book influencer. What you talked about, now Sally picked out that book. And they love that. They just beam by that. So
I love it. That's such a great idea. I mean, and they're doing it just not because there's a prize, not because there's a sticker. They're doing it because they want to gush about something and you're celebrating reading in a way that's not competitive, because I think that's really easy to do. Like, let's make this a game or a competition. You're making this about a show and tell.
Yeah, exactly. And they love to talk. And so you're just giving them that opportunity to get up in front of the class and talk.
Well, and do you let them know they're influencers? Because I think they might connect with that, because of social media.
I do use that word influencer when
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
But you might as well. Look at the results you're getting.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Listen, Beth, I hope our paths cross in the future. The invitation's always open.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Colleen Conwell. I'm at West Springfield High School Library in West Springfield, Virginia. It is a new library to me. I just started this year, so in August with students. It was completely different. It's a new place for me, and I'm super excited. I love having new kids come in, and I have a great goal of this year to get in tons of teachers and get their classes moving in the research direction.
Wow. So let me ask you, it's always interesting when you arrive on the scene and you're sort of getting a feel for the place. What are some strategies you're going to use to really sort of entice those teachers, especially because you are brand new to the school? You are new to the school, not new to the profession.
I am new to the school. I'm very lucky because I came in with the English department chair is the parent of one of my former students who was on our library team. So she is familiar with my work and was ready day one to start with me. But at the beginning of the year, I picked two teams specifically to start with this year, history and English, to make them the teams that I focused on. And I went to their meetings at the beginning of the year, introduced myself, gave them some ideas as to what I can do. And I've had some pretty good luck so far having them come in.
Outstanding. Well, it sounds like they're very lucky to have you. And I know some things take time and, momentum will build.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a good conference.
Thank you.
My name is Elise Sequoy. I am one of the librarians at James Wood High School up in Winchester, Virginia. I have a co-librarian and a library aide. We average about 1,400 students. This year has been an incredible year. We are maxed out on our study hall passes this year, which is a good problem to have. Our circs are the highest they've ever been. The library is not quiet, which is what we want it to be. Our kids love coming. It's a safe space for them. We max out on lunch passes. I have the best job in the building.
I just have to ask selfishly because we're not real pro-lunch in my administration, mostly because the Learning Commons is nowhere near the cafeteria. So it really becomes sort of an administrative concern with kids moving around. But what is the thing that you were able to really, how did you sell this to your administration and say, listen, this is really important that they be able to come in during lunch. And oh, by the way, it's not going to ruin the space.
Yes. Well, one of the things, fortunately, I inherited that already from a previous librarian who was there before me, but it's also important to advocate to keep it going because when a librarian change does happen, sometimes administrators see that as a way to change things or I would never do it this way, so this is how we're going to do it. And you as the new person don't know any better. So one of our top things is our admin have been awesome in recognizing that libraries are a safe place for our students, that I've been through the cafeteria before. It can be a very crazy, loud, audacious place. And if that's not your type of personality, it can be a very awkward situation to find yourself into. So we have students that comment that are in that. We have students that want to have that time to study. We have students that they want to come and hang out with their friends. We have students that maybe English is their second language and library is a safer place to come to. The biggest thing that we'd ask our students, and I think this has been a huge selling point, is we ask them to just clean up after themselves. Like we talked about how, we've had rodents. If we have issues, we're not going to be able to do this. So our students, I give them so much credit. They've taken that ownership. And I think in the 4 years I've been there, we've asked 2 kids and we have cleanup stations and they know just if stuff happens, just clean up after yourself. That's all we need.
Yeah. No, I tell my students, we're like the national parks. Leave no trace.
Yes.
Leave no trace. So you are incredibly busy. Yes. I spotted you because you were walking around with a picture of me. And so I did have to stop you. And it's a great, it says here, Amy Herman wants to interview you for VAASL's episode on her podcast, which is what our listeners are tuning into right now. So, but you are more than a little invested in the success of this conference. But give me an idea, because it sounds like you're just a volunteer who can't say no.
I can't, but okay. I'll be the first one to be like, I've learned to say no over the years, but I don't say it often. Mm-hmm. I've been on conference planning. Let's see, this is my 14th year as a school librarian, 15th year as a school librarian. I've been on conference planning for maybe 10, 11 years in various roles. I've done everything from concurrent sessions to hosting authors and speakers. I'm doing signage right now. If we want this to work, we need to step up and we need to help our organization. Like, we're only as strong as the people who are willing to give up their time to help one another out, because we are our network. There's something about coming to a conference or whatever, and people speak your language, and we need people to make that happen. So why not? Why not do it?
Well, and forgive me, but you are making it look fun. But
it is fun. I mean, like, come on, I got to make this awesome poster with your face.
You definitely are making this fun. So I can't think of a better person to advocate for making sure you get involved. So the message is get involved at your state organization, because regardless of the jobs, it is a great way to connect with everybody in your organization.
Yes.
I love it. Well, listen, Elise, I'm so grateful we bumped into each other.
I know,
it's wild. But thank you so much for sharing, and I hope our paths cross in the future.
I'm pretty sure they will.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Katie Yu. I am a high school librarian in Arlington, Virginia. I work for Arlington Public Schools at Washington Liberty High School. I have a co-librarian. We have 2,700 students. And it's been a fabulous year this year. We've been with my co-librarian for 3 years. This is my 14th year as a school librarian. I've actually managed to do all 3 levels. I've done elementary, middle for 10 years, now high school. I've taught in Maryland and Virginia. So I got some great experience there, and I'm having a wonderful time with my co-librarian. We've increased our circulation by like over 30% in the past 3 years together.
Okay, so I've said this out loud. I don't think my ego could handle another librarian in my space, which is fine because I'm never getting another librarian in my space. I might get an assistant, but my assistant's a retired math teacher. So yes, we don't have to worry about egos at all. But let me ask you, what does the division of labor look like when you have another certified school librarian in the space you share?
So that's a great question, because I've had a couple of different co-librarians, a couple of different situations, and I think everyone is unique. It's like a relationship. Every relationship is unique. You have to figure out strengths, weaknesses. You got to figure out what your boundaries are. You got to be able to communicate with each other and figure out how you want to divide things up. Some of it just happens naturally, and some of it you have to be a little bit more explicit about. And we just have a really great relationship because we both vibe very similarly. We have very similar values, and we love doing things together. And then we sort of separate when we have to, so that we can, because we have 2,700 students, there are times where one of us has to take over different things. And I have been teaching for longer, so I get to bring in some of that instructional background, and she is far more creative than I. She gets to help bring in some of that, and then we get to mesh together, and it makes it all much better. And then I'm also really lucky because she is fluent in Spanish. And so it's fantastic.
Wow. And you were a presenter at this conference. I didn't get to see your session, but would you give us an idea? What is it that you shared?
So I shared, it was called It's a Love Story, Curating Romance Literature for Middle Grade and Young Adults.
Remind us the grade levels you support. You are?
So I am grades 9 through 12.
9 through 12. But you did bring in middle school content for your presentation?
I did. I taught middle school for 10 years.
Wow.
Yes.
So forgive me, but at some point, could we talk specifically about romance in middle school books?
Sure.
Well, I mean, in the future.
In the future, yes, absolutely.
Would you absolutely come back? Because I'll be honest, I think it's a harder sell. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people equate romance with high school, with YA, but I think when you talk about middle school, everyone's like, really?
I mean, yes. I mean, one of the things that I did in my research, and it makes sense, a lot of times students want to know about what's coming next. Like when you think about it developmentally, we get nervous about the next stage of life. So it makes sense that middle school students are curious about what happens when I'm a high school student, which is why you have so many 16-year-old protagonists, because those like 11, 12-year-olds are like, well, what does happen when I get to be 16? And the same with your high school students. They are curious about, okay, what does happen at college? So it does make sense.
No, absolutely. Well, listen, I would hope that we have an opportunity to share your expertise on the show in the future. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the conference, and it was really nice to run into you.
Thank you. It was really nice to meet you too.
Hi, my name is Kathy, and I am an elementary school librarian in Salem, Virginia. I love being in the library. I am a career switcher, so this is something that I really found passion in. And the books that my kids are enjoying now, we did a book club with The World According to Humphrey. Yes, and they loved it. It was so exciting. I had over 30 kids come to the book club, and they had to read it from home. And it was fascinating that when I asked questions, they all wanted to answer. So I knew that they read it. I have now purchased a few, and I know that that's an old book, but they want more. They want more.
All right. Well, look at you go. Now, how are you going to go about getting the next suggestion for your book club?
From here.
Oh,
yes.
Good idea.
So we've had some authors that come, and I found one that I think I'm going to do a little bit more diversity. I did otter last year. I didn't want to do another animal book, but I did because Humphrey is way too cute. So I want to do something a little more that my kids, I'm a Title I school with a very diverse population. So I want to make sure that I show them that they are in a book.
I'm curious though, when you run a book club with your elementary students, they come in while they're reading it or after they've read it?
After. So they read, I get books for them either in English or in Spanish because that's the population that I'm in. And they read with their families. So I encourage that. I love that. I love that. And then you meet after school or during Yes, lunch? After school. After school. So last year I did K through 5. This year I did 1 through 5. There's a reason for that. But again, they were all invested. So it was great.
It's absolutely impressive. Listen, I'm so grateful you're here. You look like you're getting ready to go to the gala.
I am.
Let me ask you, you've been a member of this organization for a long time?
Since 2013.
And because this is a second career.
It is a second career.
Well, that begs the question, like, when did you have that epiphany? What did you do in your first career?
I was a paralegal in my pre-kid.
Wow.
Yes, pre-kid. But what I did is I volunteered for my kid's school librarian. Yeah. And that's how
I love it.
Yes.
And then you were hooked. That's amazing. And our profession is all the better for it. Thank you so much and have a great conference.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Matthew Kearns. I am an elementary school librarian with Spotsylvania County Public Schools, Lee Hill Elementary School up near just south of Fredericksburg. This is my 9th year in education. I've been a librarian for 7 of those. Interesting story. I am a career switcher. And when I originally transitioned into a classroom, I worked very closely with my librarian because my school career switcher program was like, get to know your librarians. They're a great resource. Mm-hmm. My librarian basically said, you're going to become a school librarian. And I told her she was crazy. Suffice to say, when I saw her at our 2019 VAASL conference, I looked at her and I said, you were right. And I absolutely love what I do as a school librarian.
So I have to ask you, when did you have that light bulb moment? Because I think anybody who's been in this profession knows there was a place in our lives where we go, I have a great idea, and now it's the only thing I can think about.
Honestly, I'm not sure, but I know that a lot of folks, I had that idea in the back of my head. And at the time, I had some personal things going on and I was like, well, I want to use my education experience, but I don't feel that I'm cut out for a classroom. So, I started exploring just on my own, researching into I'm going to shameless plug for my school, Longwood University's amazing program. And I was like, well, let me look into this. And I reached out to some fellow librarians, that I had, good positive relationships. And they were like, yeah, you really should look into that. And so then I kind of jumped in with both feet and I ended up getting my master's in a year and 2 semesters. So I flew through the program. I was a cohort hopper for Longwood.
Well, and you clearly don't mind sort of breaking stereotypes and people's preconceptions. Like you are forever going to be educating people on the fact that there is a very important place for men in education, men in school librarianship. And could you tell us a little bit about that? Because I imagine that at some point, don't you get tired of trying to prove that you have a place at the table?
Oh, no, not at all. I do love just kind of the looks I get. And actually, I should back up. At my very first elementary school, and this is how I've gotten my handle, I had a 4th grade teacher. We were all of us new teachers for a school I was at in Hopewell. We were asking each other who we were. And I said, well, I'm the new librarian. And she said, oh, you're a dude-brarian. And I'm like, I love that more than guy-brarian. So I'm going to make this happen. So any male school librarians out there, please call yourself librarian. I just think it's great to bust those stereotypes and be like, men can be into reading. Like I said, I came at it. Another thing that kind of breaks the stereotype too, I feel a lot of our profession is women coming in from an English background. I come from a history background. And so I came at it more from the research element because, I think this is why my librarian said it. I was going to be a school librarian. The quest for knowledge. I absolutely love finding out new information. I love seeking that information. I had a middle schooler, actually, one of my middle school said, Mr. Kearns, do you know everything? And I said, no, but I know where to find everything. Yeah. And I think just having the background and just people looking at you differently. And also just the uniqueness of who I am. And it also, I feel like I set a good example for young men that a lot of them, I feel like a lot of young men may be sort of overlooked or like, reading isn't pushed as much on them. And now they can see, oh, well, I have a male librarian who's overseeing this book collection. I say anyone can be a librarian, and I absolutely encourage, anyone and everyone. If this is what you're interested in, find a young student and just be like, hey, encourage them to get into the field because I absolutely love it. And I bring a different perspective. And I think it sets me apart and sets everyone together. We have that wonderful viewpoint together.
I love that. So let me ask you, the conference is wrapping up. We've got like an hour left of the conference. What is something that you're excited to take back to your school because you were here? Realistically,
the big thing for me was I just sat in on, unfortunately, did not go to your session, Amy.
It's okay.
But it was on for fourth grade because that was something that I knew my principal knew coming in. Mm-hmm. I said, what can I do to collaborate? She said, social studies. And I'm like, that's my jam. I can take back, there was a workshop on the Virginia history markers. Mm-hmm. How many, you see them all over and, one teacher converted that into a scavenger hunt. And so it included things like taking selfies with it. So that encourages kids to go travel. Uh-huh. It also showed some different resources. Quite a few of I'm a Title I elementary school, mm-hmm. and quite a few of my students are on free or reduced lunch. I did not know that they have a program. It's called Museums for All, that as long as a student or probably the family has a SNAP card, proof of ID, they can get into museums for free. Like, for example, here in Virginia, Colonial Williamsburg is usually like $26 a head. Now it's $3 for a family of 4. So that way they can still get that same experience. I know Mount Vernon's another one closer to my neck of the woods, 22 or 23. I was there over the summer. They can get in for $2. Nobody should be deprived the opportunity to learn just because of their financial situation. I want to take that back. And especially where I'm at in Spotsylvania, we are at like the crossroads. My school, some of my kids, and I keep stressing this to them, live across the street from the Fredericksburg battlefield. I can't go wrong in promoting, hey, you should go to Fredericksburg National Battlefield. You should go explore. And I'm also unique in that Spotsy has national parks and we have a state park. Not many localities in Virginia can say that they have both. And I told everybody, like, this is Lake Anna. This is what it talks about, talking about the creation of the lake, the wildlife, everything that's out there. So,
well, and I love that you are also seeing the resources outside of the library, because I think that it's too easy to assume that what we do is always self-serving and that we are promoting what we have in our spaces. Yes. And we don't recognize the resources that is in our students' community. Matthew, I am so grateful for your help and your expertise, and it was lovely to attend our morning session. Yes. You and I had a great sort of back and forth as we were listening to our experts, and you know what? I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you, and I hope you have a fantastic return back to home.
Thank you, and Amy, I hope that you have a safe trip back home to your home.
My name is Jessica Nelson. I'm the librarian at Marumsco Hills Elementary in Prince William County. We serve about 450 K-5 students.
And tell me, what is it you'd like to share with listeners today?
So this year, I've been focusing on offering self-directed centers for my students that they can do during book checkout. Nice. One of the most popular ones that I've been putting out this year are just games that I remember playing growing up, board games, card games, and the students have loved them. And what I've loved to see while the students are playing those games is the amount of conversation that is not something that I've seen with students in the last couple of years, because they're so focused on using iPads, even in their classrooms.
So what are some home runs? So you're going with no tech and while during checkout. So it's obviously got to be something that they might be familiar with, or it's rather intuitive. What are some home runs for your program that you would recommend anybody purchasing for theirs?
So games like Connect 4, Go Fish has been really popular. Uno has been another popular one. And even just checkers, like checkerboards that students those are the ones that they've gravitated towards the most.
Yeah. Got it. Wonderful. Well, let me ask you, you're going home. We've got an hour left of this conference. What is something you're excited to do in your space now that you've been at this conference and you can't wait to share?
So I was talking with Carolyn Vibert, who I've heard on your show before, and I wanted to pick her brain about switching the order of my library lessons. So starting our library time with checkout and then ending our library time with the lesson. And so I just need to figure out how I'm going to make that switch happen for my students.
Well, and I think what I really like, especially, is that you're not waiting till the next school year starts, because I think that's where the mistake is to say, well, I'm going to make some big changes, but I'm going to wait till the school year starts because we can't do anything new in the middle of the year. That's garbage. You absolutely can do something new, and you'd be surprised how many kids respond because you're shaking things up and they're like, oh, wait, what are we doing now? Oh, this is different. That'll be fun.
And I was a little hesitant because I feel like we've just started to hit our stride. But I'm willing to make the change.
And I think if you also put it on the kids and say, show me that this is going to work, and what you think we could do better. Because if you tell them what you're trying to fix, because I know, having done elementary checkout for 14 years, there are a lot of things we'd like to go and fix.
Right.
But I think if the kids understand why you've decided to do it, it's not something arbitrary. There's actually a reason. They might be incredibly helpful in this adjustment.
I'm trying to figure out that chaos at the end when you still have 3 or 4 kids that are looking for books, but you're trying to tie everything together and getting them to line up because the teacher's at the door.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and the other trick is to use whatever the classroom teacher uses as an attention grabber. I learned some of those attention getting tricks by watching the teachers themselves and copying that for consistency's sake.
Right.
Oh, that's so fun. Jessica, have a fantastic, return to school. And I'm so glad that you were able to take time out of your busy schedule to be here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Skip Kemp. I'm a high school librarian in Harrisonburg, Virginia. It's my second year there. I'm teaching English a long time before that. One thing that unexpectedly happened is that chess has just exploded in my library. I first saw a couple kids playing on chess.com during the lunch period. And I was like, okay, I'll get you some boards. I got 2 boards. I had to get 2 more boards. I then got a dozen boards. One kid asked me if I thought buying more chessboards is like adding lanes onto a highway. It just brings more traffic. I was like, yeah, pretty much. So it's cool. And I'm kind of I've become this kind of Pied Piper of chess, I guess. I'm not an expert at it. I can play. I play well enough that the kids struggle for a long time, and then they start beating me and they get really excited. But in the second year there, it's been fun seeing it kind of grow organic. Kids will see other kids playing and they'll come in and we'll have 11 games going at the same time, just without anyone making them play. They just come in and play, and it's kind of a crazy scene. It's not a quiet library.
How has your administration embraced this sort of excitement that students have for something like chess? It's no tech. It's not like the kids are on their devices. Are they coming in before school, after school? Is it lunch? When are you working this into the busy school day?
So this is mostly during lunch periods. We have the lunch is split into 3 weird blocks. So they pull out for their section for lunch. So a third of the school can be in the dining hall, and then they'll come in when they finish and kind of hang out in the library because it's more exciting than, the cafeteria. And so I started actually running a tournament in spring We're doing the second one in the fall. It helps having another librarian and an assistant there so I can do all this. Very proud of my Google Sheets abilities for making things that track their scores. And so I do a season over like a 5-week season. So all the kids who sign up for the tournament get to play 5 games. So they don't lose once and they're out.
Right.
So, and then the top 16 make it into playoffs after that.
Let me ask you, has there been any conversation about tying this in with neighboring schools, other schools that also might have chess programs, and sort of make a competition across the district or your region?
Yeah, well, one of the things is that they always recommend for stuff like this that kids have something they're aiming for, like a competition to aim for. Right now, they're still having fun on their own, but there's a second. We have 2 high schools in the district now. We just split before I came here. So someone from that school reached out to me and said, hey, I also have a chess club. Could we do like a combined tournament in the spring? And I was like, hey, that'd be great. So we'll play the Rocktown kids and see who's better. Yeah.
I love it. Well, it sounds like you're onto something, whether you realized it or not, and you're smart enough to go with it. I will say something I learned from friends who have chess programs, that if you've got digital creation labs or anybody who's got 3D printers, that if you have missing chess pieces, that you tap those folks with that 3D printer and say, this is the size of the piece, these are the pieces I need, and they can recreate so you don't have to replace entire sets, and you can work with somebody who has got a 3D printer to replace your missing chess pieces.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking of here at one of the sessions. Actually, I was thinking I could have kids design like a whole set of chess pieces that I think would be really.
I love it. Well, it sounds like you're on to something fantastic. Skip, I hope that you have a fantastic return to school, and I'm glad you're able to take time out of your busy schedule to be here.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Lori Donovan. I am the former supervisor for Chesterfield County Public Schools and Library Services. And it was just this journey to retirement through classroom educator, building level high school librarian. And just every time I felt like I needed a new challenge, I was able to move into some classroom library to supervisor in central office. Love curriculum and instruction. It's always been my passion. Teaching students, engaging them with learning was always my big thing. And now, yes, I have retired, but I've picked up a part-time gig and I'm going to be working with Longwood University with pre-service librarians. So I'm very excited to be able to still use the skills and honing the next generation of school librarians.
Well, all the cool instructors include podcast episodes in their syllabus instead of just articles. Podcast episodes are free and oftentimes giving the students a choice. That would make you one of the cool instructors for sure.
I like being a cool instructor.
And now I notice you're also nationally board certified. Yes. Did you do that as a classroom teacher or as a librarian?
As a librarian. Matter of fact, I had just finished getting my library degree, went right into national board certification because I felt like I was already in the groove.
Yeah. And
then actually when I had to recertify, I had stepped into the central office position. So I had to go back into my school, which was, the principal was very kind to allow me to come back in, and the librarian was very kind to let me partner with her again and redo it. So it was an interesting difference of growth, looking at it from that different lens.
Well, because there's a video component that you have to submit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But, still, I think what's important is that you see the value in getting nationally board certified while you are a district administrator, because you can pass along that knowledge to those that you support, and now to the next generation of aspiring school librarians.
I think it made me actually going to library school made me a better classroom teacher. Becoming nationally board certified made me a much more reflective educator. And I think that's kind of in all of the hastiness and all of the standardization that's happened, that being national board certified required me to become more reflective in my practice.
Well, because you're not focusing on getting a master's or a doctorate. You're focused on yourself and your practice.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. So let me ask you, we're in the last hour of this conference and you are here doing the heavy lifting. This has been a wonderful celebration. VAASL is 50 years and you're a past president. I know that you were at the party last night and raising your hand when they said, hey, let's see all those past presidents. And what a tradition of leadership that VAASL has had. But as a retiree now coming to the conference, how does this help you being reflective in your profession. Now you're working with aspiring school librarians. You could be at home enjoying your leisurely life as a retiree, but you're here working.
Yes. I mean, the friends that I've made, the camaraderies, I feel like truly lifelong learning doesn't stop just because you're retired. I love the group that school librarians are. I was at AASL a couple of weeks ago, just because I want to learn and I want to grow and I want to see where the profession is going and how can I be a part of that and then improve my practice to help pre-service librarians.
What I love is I had an opportunity this week and to connect with school librarians in VAASL who've been in the practice for like 2 months because they're brand new. And then we talked to somebody who has spent your life as an educator and now sort of continuing to serve your state organization. You're such a model for how we give back to our organization. Lori, thank you so much. And I hope that you're able to enjoy all that comes with being retired and inspiring the next generation of school librarians.
My name is Maddie Davis. I am a middle school librarian in Loudoun County. And every day I work with 6th through 8th grade students who love graphic novels, love manga, and that's been one of my favorite passions. And that's what I like to share here at VAASL every year.
And I saw that you're a presenter. I would hope that maybe when you get bored in the winter, maybe you share that presentation and we'll do an episode on middle school manga and graphic novels.
Yes, 100%. I love that.
That sounds fantastic. Well, I know there are a lot of people, especially when it comes to collection development, and especially if we're new to that grade level, you just don't have that confidence to build it out. And it would be great to hear from somebody like yourself when it comes to building a collection for middle school.
Yes. So especially when you are looking at middle school, it's kind of the weirdest time for everybody. You have the kids that are so young, they're like the babies. And then you have the 8th graders who are like ready for high school and they're ready to go. So you have to find that balance. And what's great about graphic novels is that it bridges all those areas. Mm-hmm. And with the manga, that is like the most popular section that we have. And what we've noticed is we have the very young stuff and then we have the middle grade stuff, the teen stuff. And the kids just love it because they can see themselves in their books. They watch the anime, then they come to the library and they're like, do you have this? And I'm like, usually I do. Sometimes I don't. But what's great is that we have a wonderful public library companionship. So when we do a lot of collection development, we look at not just our collection, but what is out there for everyone else that we can help support.
Awesome. Let me ask you, do you take advantage of Comics Plus at all?
Yes, our county has bought a whole Comics Plus subscription. So it's the best thing ever. In my presentation, I talk about that and also other resources that are available to you. Like the Manga Librarian's a great resource, No Flying, No Tights. Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, I've also get Viz Media, Stone and Jump, all the different apps that you can purchase and like look through to help build your understanding of manga and anime.
Excellent. Well, I hope we can talk about that a little bit more. But selfishly, I'm sure you were here to learn as well.
Yes, of course.
We're always grateful when those experts share their expertise. But what is something that you're excited to take back to your school because you are also coming here to learn?
Well, what was really funny is actually I met a librarian who's a friend of a friend. So I was like, okay, I'll go to her session. And she talked about utilizing all the different markers for history in Virginia to help support the history curriculum. And I'm like, this is such the coolest scavenger hunt because my 6th graders go to Harper's Ferry every year. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I could totally adapt what she did to fit my school. And she said, please do reach out. She's in the county over in Fairfax. So it's like perfect marriage right there.
Well, and I think that listeners tuning in who don't happen to have the good fortune to live in Virginia, but live in another state or perhaps a country, that they could use something similar in that you are celebrating and using the history that surrounds them to give the students a better appreciation for their community history.
Exactly. That's what I love about it is like, we can definitely adapt this across the United States. It could be a whole scavenger hunt for every age, every grade.
Well, friends, we're going to try and track this person down because you're now the second person to bring this up. So listen, Maddie, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you at our closing session.
Sounds great.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Christine Ware. I'm the president-elect and conference chair of VAASL. By day, I'm a middle school librarian at Gainesville Middle School in Prince William County. It's my 27th year in education.
Wow. Well, and congratulations. I think you've got, another hour and a half of your conference until it's over.
That's true. That's true.
And you're here to tell the tale.
Yes.
Let me ask you, when it came to this, I understand that being the conference chair, you worked your way up to this position, just like being president-elect. You sort of moved into this position incrementally as you sort of gained experience in your state organization. But let me ask you, what was something about this year's conference that you were especially important to you when it came to being the president-elect and the conference chair?
Well, a couple things. First, I wanted us to have a really great celebration for our organization's 50th anniversary. I've been around for 20 of those years, but a lot of people who've come before me are still around. And I know that they've come before me in this role and they've impacted my career so much over the years. And then also, I kind of felt like this was my big chance to any idea that I'd filed away or speaker, or I wish we could do this. This was the time to do it. And, people after me can decide to do it again or not, but it was a chance to try some different things and see how they worked out.
Can you go into a little bit of detail? One of the things that struck me as whoa, I've never seen that done before, is you did decades tables down over by the expo hall. You had decades tables celebrating each decade that VAASL has been supporting school librarians in Virginia. And the name change as well, because I know, like many organizations, over the years, we've sort of changed our name as our organization has grown. But can you go into a little bit of detail? Because that was really a significant undertaking for some of your team. And I was very grateful because as somebody who has been around as long as VAASL has, I was really excited to see those.
Weren't those fun? Yeah. We had an amazing 50th anniversary committee, and they've been working really the last 2 years to plan and come up with all different ways to celebrate things. And I'm so grateful for them because I think they were able to do a lot of the fun stuff that I'm afraid would have slipped through the cracks if it was all left to me. And I would have had regrets. But I enjoyed seeing all those displays and all that technology. And I found some artifacts in my library, even as I was getting ready to leave, to add to them.
I really think it is important because we need to celebrate not just the profession that we are in, the people who've been here for as long as we have, but also how our profession has sort of changed. And each of these tables had technology from that decade, had books from that decade. And it really sort of was sort of a little walk through memory lane for some of us. I know, because as somebody who's 55 years old, I've been around, and all of this connected with me on a very personal level.
Yes, I enjoyed it too. And I wanted to celebrate our past, but also kind of use it as a way to remind ourselves that there's always been challenges. There's always been new technology. And, librarians have always figured it out and, been leading the way in the changes that have come about in education.
Am I correct that when the conference ends, you will be president?
That's what they tell me.
So that's very exciting. And you go home as president of your state organization. I'll tell you what, last night at the party, at one point they said, if you've been president of VAASL, please raise your hand. That was a phenomenal moment because there were so many people in the room whose hands went up in the air. As president of this organization, this is a responsibility to continue this legacy of this important organization.
And I'm so grateful to all of them. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because one thing that made me feel like, okay, I could do this, is seeing it done so many times when I was in, other roles, seeing other people, get it done. And, how challenges would come up and the team would work them out. Mm-hmm. And just having the example of all the presidents that came before slowly over time made me think that maybe it was something I could do too.
Well, I'm telling you what, VAASL's in good hands. You are leading this next year. You're going in strong after this fantastic celebration for school librarians around the state have got this incredible leadership. I am so grateful for the opportunity to join your celebration. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all the work you do.
Thanks for being here. I can't wait for your keynote in a little bit.
Friends, if you found this episode helpful, please share it out with your team, your PLN, and on social media. Be sure to follow on your favorite podcatcher so you'll never miss an episode. And if you really like listening today, consider leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Reviews help others find us. If you're curious to know how often your state or country has been featured on the podcast, simply click on the link, which can be found in our show notes, search title, author, state, and country, and do a Command F search. I hope this is the year you consider being a guest on the show. Please visit the FAQs in every episode and realize just how easy it is. We all have something to share. Make Season 8 your time to shine. The topic of our next episode is Empowering Student Volunteers, and my conversation with Dione Mila and Diana Haneski. I hope you will tune in.